It looks like the Walt Disney Company is keeping Rachel Zegler quiet ahead of Snow White's release, folks. You've probably seen it all over YouTube and across various articles. But what if we told you there's a brand new twist to this story? Gadot, who plays the evil queen in Snow White, has a very different story to tell. She's been unleashed, and she's not staying silent anymore. We love diving into the biggest stories, and we especially love it when Michelle, a true force of light, joins us. That's right, and folks, if you haven't already, head over and subscribe to Force of Light as fast as you can. Michelle isn't just a guest tonight, she's the source. I have to give a special thanks because without her, I wouldn't have known about this. And now, well, we're about to make Disney even happier, or maybe not, by shedding light on the truth. Now, here's the situation. On the same day, we found out that Rachel Zegler has essentially been silenced by Disney. No more press, no interviews, no speaking to those pesky journalists or influencers. Gal Gadot has taken the opposite approach. She's stepping forward, loud, proud, and clearly not being muted. We're going to play the clip in just a moment, but before we do, how did you come across this? Honestly, it just popped up in my feed. I saw Gal Gadot and I thought, let's see what she has to say about this. And I think that's because I already sensed some tension between her and Zegler at the Oscars. That's what made me click on it. And folks, if you haven't yet, go check out that Oscars clip where Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot presented together. You can feel the tension. Now, after seeing this latest video, it's obvious why. Sent this to me, and I immediately started digging. I wanted to know, is this new? Is this something being recycled? And sure enough, it's brand new. That means Gadot is doing this intentionally, right as the Snow White campaign kicks off. So without further delay, let's play the clip, let you see it for yourself, and then we'll break down what's really going on behind the scenes. Stay tuned. On one side of the spectrum, we have Rachel Zegler, who has effectively been Z-ed by Disney, told to keep quiet and not make one more misstep before the film's release. No press, no controversy, just silence. On the other side, we have Gal Gadot, who has taken the complete opposite approach. She's speaking out, loud and clear. Before we dive into her statement, I want to give a quick shout out. The clip we're about to play comes from JTV. You'll see their logo in the bottom right corner. Now, I'm not personally subscribed to them, and I don't have much experience with their content, so I'm staying completely neutral here. But credit where credit is due, they're hosting this, and that's worth acknowledging. Zegler might want to pause on sharing her political opinions for a while. Oh yes, I watched this entire thing, and there's definitely more to unpack here. Let's listen to just a little bit more of this clip. And Michelle, when we're done, I'd love for you to break it down for the audience. Explain why this is such a big deal and what Zegler has done in the past that makes this situation even more explosive. Isn't it crazy that just expressing such a simple fact about who I am feels like a controversial statement? But sadly, this is where we are today. I grew up in Rosh Hayin in central Israel. My mother was the daughter of a Holocaust survivor. Her father, my grandfather Abraham Weiss, may he rest in peace, was born in what was then Czechoslovakia. He was the only one in his family who survived. His father died fighting for the Czech army when the Nazis... Let's get into it. Why does this statement from Gal Gadot matter so much? And how does it tie into Zegler's past actions? Let's break it down. Gal Gadot's statement takes a deeply personal turn as she shares her family's tragic history. Abraham Weiss, may he rest in peace, was born in what was then Czechoslovakia. He was the only one in his family who survived. His father died fighting for the Czech army when the Nazis invaded, and his mother and brother were murdered in the gas chambers of Auschwitz. He came to Israel with nothing and built a life for himself. At this point, it becomes clear. Gadot isn't just speaking about her heritage, she's making a statement. She goes on to say that she's done hiding her support for Israel. She's no longer staying quiet. From now on, she will proudly embrace her identity, her heritage, her ethnicity, her beliefs. She even shares how attending a temple in Los Angeles brought her closer to her Jewish roots. Now, Michelle, as Disney kicks off the Snow White PR campaign, this is a bold move from Gadot. But what makes it even more significant is how it contrasts with Rachel Zegler's stance. Rachel Zegler has been very vocal in her support for Palestine. She's publicly aligned herself with pro-Palestinian activism, even using controversial phrases and slogans, ones that, without a doubt, take a strong side in the conflict. We won't repeat them here, but let's just say they don't exactly call for peaceful resolution. This presents an awkward situation for Disney. The Snow White press tour is supposed to be about promoting a movie, yet here we have two leads on completely opposite ends of an incredibly sensitive global issue. And let's not forget, Gal Gadot served in the Israeli military. Given everything happening in the world right now, it's no surprise that she feels so strongly about this. When something affects your country, your people, your family, you're going to speak up. The question is, how will Disney handle this? Will they attempt to keep both actresses in check? Or will they just hope this tension doesn't completely overshadow the film's already disastrous marketing campaign? Let's dive into how the media is handling the Rachel Zegler situation, because this is where things get even more interesting. While Gal Gadot has been vocal, Rachel Zegler is in a very different position, one that the press is scrambling to spin. But don't worry, we're here to unspin it for them. Take this report from The Standard, a UK-based publication. The headline reads, Disney axes United Kingdom Snow White premiere amid rising anti-woke backlash fears. Oh yes, because clearly the UK is trembling in fear over people making statements. This is the same country where you can't even pray quietly in public without risking arrest. But sure, let's pretend that the real threat here is some kind of anti-woke uprising. The article, written by Dominique Hines, states that Disney has scrapped its UK premiere plans due to controversy surrounding the remake, especially regarding casting choices and Rachel Zegler's insulting remarks. Now, we all know the real reason for this decision. It has nothing to do with some nebulous fear of backlash and everything to do with the fact that this movie is a disaster waiting to happen. Disney sees the writing on the wall. They know that any press event featuring Rachel Zegler is going to be a PR nightmare. She's already alienated the audience, disrespected the original film, and taken shots at Disney's own fanbase. Every time she opens her mouth, it's like adding fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot, whether you agree with her or not, is playing this far more strategically. At this point, Disney probably wishes they had swapped their roles in the movie. Because let's be real, the way this press cycle is going, Zegler is looking more like the villain than the evil queen herself. And this is just the beginning. Michelle, what do you think? How bad is this going to get for Disney? Disney's Snow White remake is already shaping up to be one of the biggest disasters in recent memory, and now the studio is in full-on damage control mode. According to reports, Disney has scrapped plans for a London premiere, opting instead for heavily controlled press events. The reason? Well, The Standard would have you believe it's due to fears of an anti-woke backlash, but let's be real, this has nothing to do with backlash and everything to do with Rachel Zegler being a PR liability. Disney isn't afraid of criticism. They're afraid of Zegler opening her mouth and making things even worse. The movie is already projected for a flop-worthy $48 million domestic opening, a dismal number for a supposed blockbuster. The last thing they need is their own lead. Actress torpedoing ticket sales even further with another round of condescending and out-of-touch remarks. That's why they're muzzling her. You can bet that any interviews she does will be scripted to the letter with pre-approved questions and PR-coached answers. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot is out there speaking freely, making headlines, standing by her heritage, and commanding attention in a way that doesn't alienate the audience. The contrast between the two couldn't be more obvious. And let's talk about the dynamic between them, because if you've seen their Oscars appearance, you know something is off. Women in Hollywood, especially co-stars, typically have a level of camaraderie during public appearances. You'll see them linked arms, holding hands, sharing smiles. But between Gadot and Zegler,